Anarcho-communism. Anarcho-communism merges elements of anarchism and communism, advocating for the elimination of private property while preserving personal belongings and collectively owned items, goods, and services. Personal property includes items meant for individual use, such as a toothbrush, a home, clothing, and a vehicle, granting the owner the right to exclude others from these possessions. Private property, on the other hand, typically refers to assets that generate income for their owner, such as factories or mines, often producing wealth without requiring physical labor from the proprietor. Anarcho-communism supports the dismantling of the state and all capitalist structures, envisioning a stateless, classless, and post-monetary society where the population has full authority over policymaking. Neoliberalism. Neoliberalism has various competing interpretations. It is commonly associated with policies such as privatization, deregulation, globalization, free trade, and reductions in government expenditure to amplify the role of the private sector in both the economy and society. Occasionally, it is linked to managerial capitalism on the libertarian left, which promotes diluting ownership within society to minimize the influence of proprietors over businesses, transferring authority to a class of professional managers. In contemporary discourse, the term neoliberalism often carries a highly negative connotation. Social democracy. Social democracy advocates for economic and social measures to foster social justice within a capitalist-oriented mixed economy that encompasses both private and public enterprises. It emphasizes robust welfare programs, economic regulation for the common good, and reforms rather than revolutions. Social democracy values liberal democratic frameworks, including the separation of religion and government, elections between diverse political parties, and similar principles. Welfare initiatives are typically funded through progressive taxation. Social liberalism, while social democracy stresses supporting impoverished individuals via a comprehensive welfare state, social liberalism focuses on facilitating social mobility and promoting equality of opportunities rather than uniformity in all aspects. It supports moderate government intervention in the economy to ensure economic fairness alongside civil liberties. Social capitalism represents a fusion of social democracy, social liberalism, and capitalism. Third way. The third way seeks to reconcile right-wing and left-wing ideologies by integrating elements of social democracy and social liberalism. It endorses workfare, a government program requiring individuals to accept public service jobs or job training to receive benefits. Additionally, it strives for a balance between a fully free market system, as endorsed by classical liberals, and a welfare state, as advocated by social liberals. One of its primary objectives is to establish a social investment state, empowering individuals through workforce development and education instead of direct financial aid. Marxism has evolved into various branches and schools of thought, precluding a singular definitive theory. Classical Marxism aims to establish a communist society, distinguishing between the bourgeoisie, a minority owning the means of production, and the proletariat, the majority producing goods and services. It posits that capitalism exploits and oppresses the proletariat, leading to economic unsustainability and proletarian revolutions. Marxism views history as progressing through stages of class dominance, asserting that the current stage represents bourgeois dictatorship. Following its overthrow, a proletarian dictatorship must be implemented to eradicate capitalism and transition toward communism, with socialism as an intermediary phase. Leninism, also referred to as Bolshevism, advocates for a proletarian dictatorship spearheaded by a revolutionary vanguard party composed of the most educated workers. The party's purpose is to educate broader segments of the working class and ignite the revolution. Neolibertarianism contends that the libertarian principle of freedom from interference is incompatible with strictly limited government. Thus, it supports government involvement when it fosters greater liberty. It is sometimes associated with neoconservatism, which emphasizes promoting democracy and international intervention, including peace through strength. Classical liberalism champions individual freedom and free markets, asserting they create economic balance as long as monopolies are prevented from undermining competition. It endorses free trade as a path to universal peace and prosperity, favoring minimal government intervention compared to social liberalism. It views social policies and taxation more skeptically, advocating for deregulation. Anarcho-capitalism opposes centralized states and endorses systems of private property upheld by private agencies, free markets, and individual ownership. Without a centralized state, there would be no taxation, with private entities assuming roles like policing. Nationalism asserts that a nation, a group sharing common characteristics like language, history, or ethnicity, should align with a state, a centralized political entity governing a defined territory. A core aim of nationalism is preserving sovereignty over the homeland, often through a nation-state. Extreme nationalism prioritizes the nation's interests above all else, while universal nationalism seeks harmony among nations. Georgism, also known as the single tax movement, posits that individuals should own the value they produce, while the value derived from land should belong equally to society. It advocates for a land value tax as the sole taxation method, distinguishing between property rights derived from labor and capital and land, which it considers shared. Radicalism or radical liberalism historically represented the left wing of classical liberalism, extending liberal principles to their logical conclusions. For example, where classical liberals might advocate for democratic governance, radical liberals extended voting rights to disenfranchised groups such as women, propertyless individuals, and slaves. Corporatocracy describes an economic system where the state intervenes to benefit select corporations, often stifling competition. A related concept, lemon socialism, refers to governments subsidizing failing companies to keep them afloat. Cowie promotes governance largely or partially automated by computers and artificial intelligence. Integralism argues that religious principles should form the foundation of public law and policy, opposing secularism and emphasizing traditional values. Reactionism seeks to restore or preserve traditional social, political, and economic systems, rejecting progressive or liberal innovations. Jacobinism advocates for the complete dismantling of old systems in favor of radical revolutionary structures. Historically, it was pivotal in the French Revolution, replacing monarchy with a republic. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys want more content, show some love to this video, like and subscribe. Bye.